Action Committee. Bill, thank you so much for your time today.
Great to be here, EJ. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, I'd first like to discuss the silver market. Now, you've noticed that the silver market has been trading really like the past 5 or so days. You've never seen it trade in this way. Can you explain a little bit about this?
Well, it's sort of rinky-dink until something happens, and it's really a nuance. But, yes, the past 5 days, it's traded differently than it has in years, including the big run-up last year. It's really small stuff, but it's the way it's traded against gold. It's the way it's come back from dips, all the time. It's closed on its recent high. We're not too far from a breakout above 1850. And this is at a time when the silver open interest is going bonkers again. It's only 20,000 contracts from its all-time high, and the price has done nothing. And it appears to me, like I thought last year, which was a failure, a flop, somebody's going after silver again. And I'm hopefully they're tying up the physical supply while they're doing it, which they failed to do last year. And if we can get above 1850, it could start a real serious move up, and the big number, of course, is 21. It breaks through 21, and you and I have talked about this many times. I've been on your show. I think it will go bonkers and trade like almost no other market in history, and we'll see what happens.
Right, and silver in just the past 2 weeks is up about 10%, and it actually has broken now through its 200-day moving average.
Yeah, for me, some people say it's 1840 a neckline, but 1850 is its recent high, and that's when J.P. Morgan and the bad guys bombed it for 80 cents in a matter of hours. And it's come back, very nicely, quietly. And the irony is, I've never seen the silver shares act worse relative to the price of silver. It's a dichotomy of for people that follow this stuff, it's almost epic. I mean, a stock like Silver First Majestic is $3 off its recent highs, and silver is only 25 cents from making new highs this year and taking off, getting above 1850. So it is bizarre what's going on. It could be quite different. You never know these things till after the fact. But it's something that I point out to my people that where I do my thing at the Metropole Cafe, and we're staying on top of it. And to me, if we get above 1850, it could really mean something.
So what about the gold market? Gold is actually also nearing its 200-day moving average around 1260. So where do you see gold going in the near future? And what happens if it breaks through its 200-day moving average?
Well, it's timely. Silver was beat up so bad by the gold cartel forces. It's crept back much better than gold, but they're both sort of in the same position. And you're right. There's a neckline and a moving average around 1259. Recent high was 1261, 62. So if it gets about 1263, you're looking at 1300. And if they both go through at the same time like this, you could get some fireworks. The interest in the United States retail market is the lowest it's been in 20 years. 20 years. It's that bad. And, of course, that from a contrarian standpoint, it's extremely bullish with all the little guys not paying any attention. And that's because of what the plunge protection team and gold cartel orchestrated after the Trump election, which I think we covered. They did it. They moved the markets, the Dow way up, killed gold to change perception about what was going on. They've got to inflate the system to save the system. I want to get gold down first and get the other markets moving. Anyway, these are just my own opinions, but if gold breaks above the 200-day moving average, it should take off.
And I'd like to discuss a little bit about this last Friday. The Obamacare repeal failed to pass, and people are saying, this kind of shows that Trump is unable to work with Congress. How do you think this kind of political turmoil is going to impact the markets?
It's a joke. Everyone said that Trump was going to be terrible for the stock market. It went berserk to the upside, one of the biggest moves of all time. And again, I think it was orchestrated to change perceptions. And all of a sudden, Trump once again has a big defeat. Everyone says how bad it is. The NASDAQ is going back up close to its all-time highs. The Dow isn't far from its all-time highs. It was up 150 yesterday. I think they're petrified of a Trump presidency, and it's not that the president doesn't run the show. That's what Bill Clinton said. He said, I didn't realize I wouldn't be running the show when I became president. It's the money and power behind the scene, and they're petrified of what could happen under a Trump administration, so they're making sure their stock market stays up, and they're trying to keep gold and silver down, and we know that by what they've been doing lately by capping the markets.
Now, I don't know if you've heard of the story with respect to the Reserve Bank of India. Back in November, they basically had restrictions on some cash withdrawals of 500 rupee notes and 1,000 rupee notes. And a lot of people were speculating this was an attempt to kind of stop people from purchasing gold in India, because a lot of the transactions with respect to, buying gold is done in cash in India. But basically what happened was actually the demand in India for physical gold just went through the roof. And now just recently, the restrictions on cash have been lifted. So I don't know if you have any perspective on that. I mean, what do you think will happen now that those withdrawal restrictions are lifted now?
Well, that's a really good point to bring up. And, you know how much the Indians love gold as part of their history. And everything started to go south a little bit when former Fed Chairman Bernanke went over there last year to visit their top people. And all of a sudden, all these funny things are happening with various restrictions and gold issues and so on. And we think it was a United States thing, it's just my opinion, to try to dampen gold demand, like you said. But that's coming to an end, or it's a question about whether this program worked at all or whether it's just a total failure. But according to my friend John Brimelow, demand's coming back, and like you're talking about, and it can only make life very difficult for those trying to keep the price down.
Definitely. And what about demand coming from China right now? China's second largest gold producer announced yesterday that it just discovered what could be the largest gold deposit ever discovered in China, 380 tons of gold reserves there. So how do you think this could impact the gold market?
Well, fortunately for us bulls, it takes a long time to mine gold. So you're talking about, I might have retired by the time that really gets going. So it's a big deal down the road for the Chinese. It's going to make them even more gold advocates, even more so than they are now. And it's a good thing in that way for the gold market, because they know what's coming and they think longer term. And, of course, they're going to want the price to be as high as possible to maximize a deposit like that.
Definitely. And before we let you go, Bill Murphy, are there any last thoughts you'd like to add?
Just that it's been a long 6 years. I'm sick and tired of it. And we're hoping that the gold cartel has reached a tipping point, especially in silver, and being to hold it down. And I think I've talked like this a number of times on your show, but if we have reached that tipping point and we can get above 21, you're going to have a market like rarely seen before, because the shorts are just not going to be able to make good on their promises to deliver. And we keep waiting for it. We don't know if it's there yet. But as I mentioned to start off the show, this recent price action, even though it's the real rinky-dink still, could be a tip-off that something coming. When a market makes its biggest moves, things change and people don't recognize it till well after the fact, at least most people. So we'll have to see if this pans out. I have high hopes, but, the proof will be in the pudding.
I know you've said on this program before that you think it's possible that there could be new highs for gold and silver this year. Is that still your view?
Yeah, if they lose control, absolutely. There's no telling what it can do. When gold and silver explode, there's nobody even thinking bullishly here in the United States anymore. It will stun people. And again, these big moves occur when nobody's looking for them, and no one's prepared, and the shorts have to cover, and it creates all kinds of problems. And, we'll see. I think the next month is pretty critical. You want to see this initial, they thwarted it last month when they attacked on March 2nd, and now we're back up again. It's almost a month later, and it's just got to have to be in strong hands to beat the bad guys. Until the gold cartel is defeated, the precious metals will never go up in our lifetime. And I'm not being facetious about that either. We've seen it time and time again, what they're doing lately, what they did after the Trump situation, the win in the election. But I think it's going to happen, and I think we could be close. And again, if we get to 1850 first in silver, then 21, then the sky's the limit.
All right. Bill Murphy, once again, thank you so much for your time. And where can people find you online?
Well, my commentary, LaMetropoleCafe.com. People can sign up for a 2-week free trial. And then my colleague, Chris Powell, who's in Asia right now, Singapore on his way to Hong Kong, they can go to www.gada.org and follow what Chris puts out.
Once again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, AJ.